Get ready to feel
the power.
It's Colin, Crandall, myself, Adam Roorda here for another episode of MMA Power Hour here on Fight TV and the Hannibal TV. If you're not on the other one, which obviously you're not, go on over to the other one. Check it out. It's Fight TV, FITE.TV, and the Hannibal TV, just like the Hannibal that eats the brains.
Hannibal the Cannibal.
Yeah, the Hannibal TV on Facebook, and you can catch us over there. Make sure when you're on Fight TV to go ahead and hit the subscribe button or the follow button with MMA Power Hour after searching us in the search bar.
Absolutely. We appreciate. Wow, that was a big pop. Absolutely. We appreciate you doing that, and we appreciate our followers, friends, fans on both sources, Hannibal TV and Fight TV, and we're so happy to have you guys here. We've got a fun show in store, don't we, Dr. Adam Roorda?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to help you out here a second. There you go.
There we go. There's a little bit too much pop. Gotcha. Last time there wasn't enough pop. I appreciate it.
Well, we were making up for that for you.
Exactly. I appreciate it. Well, good. This is better for me, actually. Get a little see a little bit more of my face, although I don't know if that is better. Years ago it was better. Maybe it's worse now. I don't know. But we're really excited. We've got three great guests here. We're going to do a breakdown of this big upcoming UFC 269 event coming up this Saturday. That is going to be killer, isn't it? Only disappointing thing as we look at the odds there is once again a fight involving Leon Edwards has fallen apart with Jorge Masvidal falling off the card I think a week or two ago. And
right.
Leon Edwards is a badass. Leon Edwards is a guy.
Of course he is.
He's a guy that nobody really wants to fight. There's only
nobody,
except for maybe Hamzat. But then Hamzat really doesn't deserve that fight. You know, Hamzat's he's crushed some people, but not really the highest of high-level people. And so,
just so you guys know, and I'm looking this way, I'm actually looking at the same thing Colin is right now. So,
yeah. So basically, it looks like once again Leon will not fight, and Jorge was not able to fight, and that sucks. But the bottom line is the other fights absolutely make up for it with the main event, the much anticipated lightweight championship of the world, the champion from Brazil, Charles do Bronx Oliveira going up against the Diamond Dustin Poirier. How excited does that make you?
I can't even begin to say.
We can't sleep between now and then. People are like,
no, really, I can't. It's insane.
It's
like, who's going to win this one?
Yeah.
I think this is really one that we've all been waiting for.
Without a doubt. It's amazing.
Who's going to? I am not going to pick.
The odds,
that's very rare. I'm usually the one to go ahead and pick.
That's true.
Nobody else will.
You usually do have a feeling in inclination. Now, what do you think about the fact that the champion is actually a slight dog here? That does happen, not a lot, but it does happen, and it's happening here. The sentiment, I think, is Poirier. I mean, Oliveira has looked very good, but Poirier has looked fantastic and arguably against slightly better opponents. And so the dog here, Poirier, is a slight favorite, minus 155, anywhere from 155 to minus 170. The comeback on the champ, plus 130, 135. That one's going to be amazing. Just absolutely cannot wait for that one.
Do you think that's going to be a banger?
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. You got two.
All on their feet, you think, for the most part?
You know, I don't think so, but it might be. Both guys are jiu-jitsu black belts. Both guys have hands. Arguably, and I'm saying that I hate to be redundant, but arguably or possibly the better hands to Poirier, actually with more power, but technique and just precision and chin and everything.
Those Charles.
Well, close. Dubronx and Chin is pretty much equal, man. They're both absolutely killers everywhere. This is an example of two absolutely true mixed martial artists that come in with all skill sets. Undercard, the Lioness, Amanda Nunes, the GOAT, women's GOAT. Not even arguably, everyone says that she is the women's GOAT, greatest of all time.
I actually cannot believe how close they have these odds.
Wow, you mean you think it should be even more of a crush?
Yeah, I think it should be more of a crush.
So the odds makers have it minus 9, anywhere from minus 900 to minus 1,050 for the champ Nunes. The comeback on Pena.
Do you remember what the odds were when Nunes beat Cyborg?
They were in favor of Cyborg. They were in favor of Cyborg.
favor of Cyborg about the same amount.
That's right. That's right. Could this be a replay? Most people don't think so. I don't think so either. Juliana Pena is tough. She
is tough, but she's not the GOAT.
No, it doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like so. This is gonna be interesting to see what she brings and if it can be competitive. She's definitely scrappy. Juliana Pena is very, very scrappy, and so she's gonna do her best. The fight below that. Jeff Neal.
I'm surprised that one's still on.
Yeah, because Jeff Neal was arrested on some domestic violence possibility charges, something like that.
I think he admitted to it right away.
Yeah, so that fight may be off against Santiago Ponzinibbio, which would be unfortunate because Ponzinibbio is desperate to kind of get back in action after a few years off. But below that, we have Cody Garbrandt, Kai Kara France, Julian Paiva against Sean O'Malley, and other fights. I could ask our guys to scroll, but don't worry now because we're only about 2 minutes away. You could actually scroll up a little bit so we could see lower guys. The other way. Sorry, scroll down a little bit. Stop. Okay, perfect. And then I'm glad I had our guys do this. Josh Emmett, our friend Josh Emmett, who we've had on the show many times, slight favorite here against Dan Ige. Pedro Munoz against Dominic Cruz. Heavyweights.
Who do you think's taking that one?
Oh man, that's so tough, man. I've always loved Dominic Cruz. He's toward the end of his career, I think, but he keeps reinventing himself. He's
reinventing himself, and then when he pulls it off, it's like, oh, man, I was rooting for you the whole time, even though you put the bet on the
right,
other person.
Exactly. That's not me, but that's what everyone else tells him. And then we also have Augusto Sakai against Tai Tuivasa. That's going to be a banger. Tell me that's going to go the distance. Not. And right? And then we got Bruno Silva against Jordan Wright. Anyway, we're gonna
go the full 30 seconds.
That's what it is. The full 30 seconds or 1 minute of the first round. But anyway, we're about a minute away from our guest. In fact, if our guest is here, we would be willing to grab him, but I believe he is not. If I ask our producer Mike and our guys, nothing, not yet. Okay, so
he'll probably just pull him up on the screen when he's ready to go.
Okay.
We'll see him right there.
That's fine. Okay.
So you guys know out there, we are getting used to the new studio, working with a new team of excellent producers here, helping us out at Third Wheel Podcast Studios in Los Angeles. As you can tell, it's a real clean look. These guys do an excellent job. So just want you to know about that. If you are looking for any podcast services, I'm pretty sure you can hit them up.
Yeah.
But they're also getting busy from what I hear.
That's it. You gotta act quick. And you normally don't want to be
act quick, guys.
You normally don't want to be the third wheel, but here at Third Wheel Studios, you end up super satisfied to be the third wheel because they make you the first wheel here at Third Wheel Studios. So absolutely fantastic. We appreciate them.
And just so everybody knows out there, our show is brought to you by Lith Token, Lith Token. You can check them out, lithtoken.io.
That's it. And then you won't be having to say, I owe this guy and that guy and this guy after you get into it, although no promises, right, Dr. Adamaro?
No promises.
No guarantees,
but,
right?
You know what? Doing pretty good on the charts, I'll say that much.
Without a doubt. What you can consider, Doc, again, since I don't have the Gmail on my phone, is to maybe see, because hopefully
I don't have access on this phone. It's a brand new phone.
Is it rats?
I have the same problem you do.
Well,
right
we're
now.
gonna have faith then.
We both got new phones recently. Me today.
Right. And so we're gonna
Colin keeps asking me for things I don't have right now.
Oh man,
I didn't have enough time. I got my phone 2 hours ago.
Beautiful.
It's a nice, beautiful phone. If you guys check this out, the
Wow.
Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra.
Yikes, that looks beautiful.
Oh yeah, no, this is supposed to be the best phone.
That's awesome. Well, nothing but the best.
I'm having fun with it so far. Great camera.
Yeah. You know what I realized is that
Samsung, you owe me money.
There we go. You know what I realized that our producer actually possibly could send a reminder over to.
He's doing it. It looks
beautiful. We really appreciate it.
He's on it.
One step ahead of us, Mike. We appreciate you and the other guys there. Who do we have with us as far as the associate producers here today? Harrison, good to see you again. James, first time, I think.
I was here last time.
Were you?
Oh,
awesome.
excellent.
James,
Yeah.
great to see you. Great to see you, Harrison. Appreciate you. And Mike. Okay, so while we're waiting for that first guest after this reminder.
James was snuck over there watching last time.
Were you? You were sneaking over on the side watching some football or something like that?
I like to lurk.
What did you have, the alert?
I was lurking.
Lurking, I like that. Always be a lurker. It's not
We're
always
going to
a
have
bad
to get
thing.
you guys some mics.
That's it. We could bring you guys in. I'll make you guys part of the show.
That's how we do it around here. Just so
That's
you
it.
guys know, it's really free flowing.
And we wouldn't copy the Howard Stern show in that we wouldn't try to make jackasses out of you guys. We would make you guys welcome members of the on-air team if you like.
Colin, speaking for me, and he shouldn't be, because I
No,
would love
he
to make
might-
a jackass out of everybody.
That is your specialty sometimes, isn't it? Oh, man. As Elvis would say, can Hawaii get sticky?
Every week.
Got to stick that in, man. Got to stick
yeah,
that in.
if you're-
I thought about it for years without saying it on the show, and then I said, "Oh, that's one of the lines."
Oh,
I
that
like.
I've got to do it every episode
yeah.
and annoy Adam.
Exactly.
You
Gotta-
know it gets
gotta-
under my
oh,
skin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You love Elvis, though. Who doesn't love Elvis? You know what I mean?
Of course, I love Elvis. He's
Elvis.
one of the reasons I got into running down to Memphis quite a bit, actually.
That's it. It's important, man. All those good times you had over there at the
Sun Studio, actually recording there. Had some
That's
fun.
it. Man, oh man, I'll tell you.
Man, oh, man. Man, oh, man.
You are the man. You are the man. Well, listen.
The first man.
That's right. The first man of streaming and cryptocurrency.
The very first man of everything.
That is it. Absolutely. So, what I'm going to say, I couldn't even think of a good comeback on that. So, what I'm going to say is if our guys would like to bring back the best, well, we don't want to say the website, but those fight odds, and then we can go back and break those down again, and that would be great. And then, so we're gonna go a little bit more over this than we did in the last episode. We kind of, didn't have time to do it, but we're gonna make sure we have time for banter between Dr. Adam Roorda and yours truly. And so, if we're looking down the heavyweight fight, Doc, and it seems like there's a lot of lighter weight fights in this card, and you're good right there, guys. Actually, you know what? Who's also on the card? Yeah, more. Miranda Maverick, our friend Miranda Maverick, we've been on the show many times, is on the card. Alex Perez, who we've had on the show. Derrick Minner, who's on the show tonight. If you can go up slightly, Mike, on that so we can see who Derrick. There, perfect. And Randy Costa and Jillian Robertson's on the card.
This is packed full of previous guests.
We've had about a half dozen of these fighters in Saturday's UFC have been guests on our show, and some multiple times. Going to be really interesting. Randy Costa was not one of them, but he's a tough guy coming off that loss over Adrian Yanez, which is definitely forgivable. Yanez is a beast. Going to see how he does against Tony Kelly. He's the favorite. Okay, and then they're going to go and contact that. So, what do you think about the heavyweight match? You got the Brazilian Augusto Sakai, Japanese Brazilian, really tough. He got caught in his last fight, but he was looking really good prior to that, going up against the man from the Outback in Australia, which is Tai Tuivasa, the man that does the shoey. If you guys don't know what that is, parts of Australia.
Is that fight even still on?
To celebrate, it should be. I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Where you take a shoe that someone was wearing and you pour alcohol in it and you drink it down. So that man is known to do the shoey. He's done it after a couple of his wins.
Well, he is a little bit of a beast. I am going to say that much.
Tough dude, a lot of fun, and he always starts his fights out with that 1892 John L. Sullivan boxing stance like that, and he's definitely a character, and so that should be an interesting fight. The odds makers, I think, have that pretty close. Let's see if we can see Tai Tuivasa against a little bit the other direction. Perfect. Thanks, guys. Actually, wow, odds makers have that almost a pick 'em, or actually pretty much a pick 'em on most websites, with maybe a couple websites slightly favoring the Aussie Tai Tuivasa. Any feeling in that? That's so hard to call, isn't it? I mean, it just. Really depends.
pretty equal records. I mean, both
Yeah.
these guys are beasts. They're known for pretty much the same type of stand up, knock 'em out type fighting.
Yeah.
And
Bam
really,
Bam.
it is too close to call.
Yeah,
I mean, these
it
guys both
is.
have the same kind of record, same type
Yeah.
of presence on
Yeah.
UFC and the types of wins and losses they've had.
Yeah,
They're both one's 12-3, the other one's 15-3.
I think so. They both could use a win though, because I think actually Tai is coming off a couple wins, I think, and Augusto's coming off a loss. Augusto is the taller fighter, rangier, and likes to maybe stick and move a little bit more, whereas Bam Bam likes to just throw those powerful bombs and has even though he's not as tall, he's got a pretty decent reach. And he's got a really good chin. It's going to be some fun though. That's going to be fireworks.
13-3 for Tai Tuivasa, and Augusto is 15-3-1.
Yeah, very close. Really good fighters, and both have some good wins under their belts.
You're talking about 2-inch reach difference, same size. These guys 1 pound difference.
Okay.
Exact same height. They're within 2 years of age.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought Tai was
Like
shorter.
this is going to be a banger. Somebody's getting knocked out, but
Yep.
I literally give it a first round.
Yeah, it could very well be. So
I could see it go the distance too if they decide to make it a boring fight and just
Yeah.
stand back.
It's hard to
because-
imagine with these guys. The good thing about these guys, and they're both pretty young. I think Ty is still in his 20s, and Augusto maybe very early 30s. But these guys go for it. I really don't think. I don't think boring fight is in the dictionary for either of these gentlemen. So I don't think that's going to happen. Miranda Maverick. I think that's going to be the best bet of the night against Erin Blanchfield. We had Miranda on. We had Miranda on about a month or so ago. And I kind of called it when I said when someone gets ripped off of the decision, because everyone knows, I believe every single media member cage side in her fight against Macy Barber had Miranda Maverick winning that fight, as did I, and they gave the decision to Macy Barber. And I asked her, I said, is it kind of really a thing when something like this happens that the fighter is kind of really mad and wants to really put a punishment on their next opponent and be really decisive, or is that not really a thing? And she goes, "Yeah, I'm really mad." She said, "Yeah, I'm really
really mad.
I'm really mad. I was not happy with not getting the decision in a fight I felt I won." And so, yeah, Erin Blanchfield is tough, but I think don't get Miranda Maverick angry. I think she got married too, so she's happy, but she'll be happy and angry, and she's going to make a
She
statement.
didn't seem
here.
happy at all when she was. I mean, she was happy to be on our show, but
Yeah. No, she's not. Yeah, she's but I think she got married after her appearance on our show. So she's got that going, and she's fighting again, what she loves, and great activity on her Instagram and other stuff. But yeah, no, she's gonna go there and put a punishment on Erin Blanchfield. I would almost say guaranteed, but you can't guarantee anything. But that's, I think, a really good bet. I think Miranda should be much bigger favorite than that, so you can get her right now at -135 to -140. In all honesty, I think late money is going to come on Miranda, so here's your chance to beat the line if you are inclined to bet. But if you are not, or haven't, or are really young, don't bet money you can't afford to lose. And unfortunately, most of us don't have any money we can afford to lose. So in that case, don't bet. But if you're going to, I really feel strongly about Miranda Maverick, as I know does.
if you're gonna bet, you might as well go on over to Lift Token, check that out. But what about
That
Jillian Robertson?
Yeah, Jillian, it looks like, is set up with kind of a crush fight here. She's had a couple losses in her last few fights, but where is she? I think, can you guys look a little bit, scroll? I'm not sure which direction she is. There she is, right,
A
a
little
little
bit
bit
more.
further.
Yep,
Perfect. Yeah, okay, Priscilla Cachoeira is not one of the better Brazilian fighters. All respect to her, she just isn't. And so this is the odds look like a crush fight. She's going to fight hard. I think if Priscilla loses this fight, she may be losing her job with the UFC, and I always hate to see anyone lose their job.
She has a better record.
Yeah, she does, but nowhere near the competition. I think anyone that Priscilla Cachoeira has beaten doesn't really have a winning record themselves. So the odds are merited here, although Priscilla's going to be fighting hard. But Jillian's coming off 2 losses, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah, and then I think she may have lost 3 out of her last 4.
We
or
were rooting
5.
for her.
Yeah, we're rooting for it. I hope but the odds makers say she's going to win easily and win going away, and I think that could very well be the case. Derrick Minner against Ryan Hall. How interesting a fight is that? We're going to talk to Derrick here in about an hour and 5 minutes about that fight. But so here's that matchup, because I know some of the more undercard guys you're not as familiar as I am, Doc. Ryan Hall is an interesting guy, just about your age, a year younger. So he is a guy who is unique because his body doesn't look like a fighter. He doesn't strike at all. He doesn't wrestle that much. But he's a high-level jiu-jitsu guy, really good with leg locks. And he will roll into you because he doesn't have the wrestling. He'll roll into you to get your leg. And he's tapped out a ton of people. In his last fight, he fought a very high-level young guy, Ilya Topuria, who avoided the leg locks and just beat his face in and stopped him. And the question is, can Derrick do that? I think Derrick can. I think Ryan's lost a little bit of a step, and I think a lot of guys are learning defense against the leg lock. It's not as easy to learn as some may think, and if you make a mistake, you really don't. You see if I can say this without butchering the English. You want to tap if someone has a leg lock in. You don't want to be the guy known for not tapping to leg locks and having your legs mangled, because it can take a long time to recover. and you may, if ever, you may be like possibly permanently screwed up if your leg gets torqued enough. And Ryan Hall is just that guy to do it. So, but
he is the guy to do it, and he's one of the few guys that he's one of the guys that nobody wants to fight as well.
Right.
Because of those leg
Right.
locks.
Even though the last fight where he did get smashed by Topuria, that may give some people some more confidence. He's a nice dude. He's unique. I know he has I think he has like a speech impediment and kind of a little bit of a nervous disorder, which also makes him even that much more heroic a dude to be fighting at a high level. He's just a unique guy, and always cheer for him. But Derrick's been a guest before. Derrick's a great guy. They have a great team over at Glory MMA with James Krause and all those other killers, and I think he will be able to do it here. The odds makers are disagreeing. The odds makers are feeling that Hall's going to catch him. I don't think so. I think Derrick can make this happen, and I think he will. So I think there's some good value in that bet. Alex Perez on Team Oyama, former title contender, making his way back into contention, is a very big favorite against Matt Schnell, and I think deservedly so. He's going to do great. I spoke with Alex, and we have come to the conclusion that more than likely he'll be able to come on our show next week or the
Perez
week
or
after.
Schnell?
Perez.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we're going to talk to him after hopefully his victory on Saturday to confirm that. Eric Anders also has been on our show. Really tough guy. Slight dog against Andre Muniz. And then going up a little bit, if you guys could, or I guess scrolling. Let me see. If I say the other way. So this, okay. So is what you just did scrolling up or scrolling down, Mike?
I guess scrolling up, right?
Yeah, so okay, good. Okay, so I'll say that right. Okay, so there we're good there. Jordan Wright, the Beverly Hills Ninja, a huge dog to Bruno Silva. He's a tough guy, but Bruno Silva is tougher. Bruno is just a guy that wins people money because he keeps winning, and even in the last minute, if he's losing, he can pull a rabbit out of his hat and win. So he probably does beat Jordan Wright, although Jordan's a tough and tricky dude. Munoz and Cruz. What an interesting fight. Cruz is not 40, but I think he's like 37 or 8 or even 9. He's been in the sport for like 17 years. The man's had 4 or 5 knee surgeries and keeps on coming back. And at some point, his luck's going to...
36.
36, okay. At some point, his luck's going to wear out. I hope it doesn't. I like him. He's a really cool dude. He's a great commentator. Slight dog here against Munoz. The winner is really in the thick of things. Even though Munoz came up slightly short to Jose Aldo, he's still a super, super tough guy. Dominic Cruz, though, so tricky and so intelligent and skilled and such a veteran. Who knows? I'm cheering for Dom. Nothing against Pedro. But it's going to be it's going to be an interesting fight. It may not be that amazing. It may not be that action-packed, but it's going to be definitely a technical fight, and I'm anxious to see it. Josh Emmett, this is a big one. Dan Ige, the Hawaiian, both are killers. Ige's just come off a fight where I think he was the dog and pulled out a big win. I forget who it was. Was it against not Joe Selecki? It's a different weight class. But he beat someone who was on a really good streak. And Josh Emmett, is in the thick of things. And so if you can scroll up a little bit, Mike, so I can see that a little bit more, please. Thank you, brother. So they do have Josh Emmett, a slight favorite. I think late money will be coming on Emmett. Maybe, maybe not. It's hard to say how you beat the line on this one. But, Josh is a great, great guy. We've had him on the show for about 3 years now. And about 5 or 6 times, and he's just a super, super cool, genuine, sincere dude, a family man, a hard training guy, gritty wrestler, and I think a win over Ige, people have to start talking about him in the top 5. I think he's just outside the top 5 right now, and Ige is also like top 10. So this is
I'd say everybody's been saying he's a top 5 fighter for a while.
Yeah, I think so. And then he's had to deal with some injuries. He is in his mid-30s. I think he's 35 or 36. So he can't, he can't afford a loss. And
Right.
he can't afford any more time wasted. Now, he hasn't been the one wasting time. So I should say he can't afford any more time going by where they don't give him a fight. And I think that basically winning this fight will basically put him in a position where he will be talked about with some big names. Like I say, this is the best division in my opinion. I know a lot of people love 155 lightweight and a lot of people love 135 bantamweight. I love both those divisions in the UFC, but 145, as you know, Doc, I've been saying is the division. The names in that division: Alex Volkanovski, Max Holloway, Brian Ortega, Giga Chikadze,
No, I think
Josh
totally
Emmett,
is.
Dan
Yeah.
Ige, Calvin Cater, Yair Rodriguez, Zabit Megamed Sharapov. I mean, this is absolute freaking animals. Each one of them could beat the other one on any given day. And you saw that I talked up Yair a lot in that Holloway fight. He didn't come out with a W, but did he come close? That was they made Holloway like a 5-1 favorite. It looked like even when they were in there. Am I right? That looked like an even fight. Yair Rodriguez, don't sleep on that guy. That guy is an absolute beast. Anyway,
Well, I wouldn't sleep on 90% of these
no,
guys.
no, they're killers in the featherweight division. And so Josh Emmett, I can't wait for this fight. It's going to be a banger. I don't think this is going to go to the ground unless Josh wants to take it there. And if Josh wants to take it there, he can take it there.
Let me ask you about this other fight you see right above that here.
Yes.
What do you think of Sugar Sean?
So it's interesting. Raulian Paiva coming off that big upset over the man they call the Matrix. And I can't believe it. Kyler Phillips. I was going to say I forgot his name, but I didn't. The Matrix, Kyler Phillips, was 3-1 favorite in that fight, and Raulian, with a week notice, came in and beat him. Raulian is, where the heck is he training? I forget where he's training. Is Raulian at Alpha Male? I don't know. Raulian is somewhere in California, I'm pretty sure. Double tough guy. Dog here, they think Sean O'Malley's going to piece him up. Raulian at one point was a flyweight, and now he's a bantamweight, so he's probably a little bit of a naturally smaller guy, but double tough guy. Sean's a tough dude, though. I don't know. I mean, put it this way. If Raulian loses, we may get to see Sean O'Malley versus Adrian Yanez. And that's a fight people want to see. In fact, that's a fight a lot of people say Sean O'Malley wouldn't want, because Adrian Yanez is just a killer, man. And I'm not saying Sean isn't.
Sean will take anybody, though.
Probably so. But
I would say he is the next McGregor in the way that he carries himself. He claims to be the next McGregor.
Well, he's got Irish in him with the name Sean
well,
O'Malley.
yeah.
He's got a little Irish, you know.
He's not, Irish
Well,
blood, but
that's right, Irish American. Yeah, like exactly. My ex roommate from Ireland used to say everyone's here calling themselves Irish, and they've never even been to Ireland, much less lived there. You know what I mean? But it's your background, and that's cool. Irish people are awesome. So I think Raulian's got a chance. I do think Raulian Paiva does have a chance.
I think the odds makers have it a little too far out.
Yeah.
I think it should be closer, but I still give it to Sean.
Probably so. The Sugar Show is going to probably stay on the road, and his reach and his speed is superior to most. Kai Kara France and Cody Garbrandt. Kai Kara France out of the Aussie, the New Zealand team with Izzy City Kickboxing, and he is a beast. He is their lightest weight member over there. Brad Riddell, a big favorite of mine, just lost in a tough fight against Rafael Fiziev. And so that's, they're going to be coming out fighting hard from City Kickboxing to avenge that loss, not with the same fighter, but to try to come back and get their team on a winning track. And Kara France, slight dog to Cody Garbrandt. But
I understand that.
Well, because I think this is at flyweight. I think
Let's check.
This is finally the first fight that Cody Garbrandt is having at flyweight. I believe it is. I'm pretty sure it is. And I think people feel that that's going to be the trick. I mean, we all saw Jose Aldo Jr. Drop from featherweight to bantamweight and pretty much revive his career and reinvent himself in just a really killer way. And so I think they're feeling the same thing for Cody, that maybe just the guys were a little bit too big for him at bantamweight. And that may be the case. I tell you, though, it's going to be a close fight. Don't count Kai Kara France out in that fight. Anyway, one thing we haven't mentioned, and I don't know if it's an elephant in the room, but it looks like our first guest did not show up here, which is really unfortunate because we had it confirmed, and it is what it is.
Well, Well, some people love our banter, so.
Yeah, exactly. We're hopefully you're enjoying that, and and we will find out what went on with the champ Bibiano Fernandez that we did advertise was going to be on, and it was guaranteed he would, and then he hasn't shown up. So we'll figure that out. Anyway, Kai Kara France against Cody Garbrandt. We already talked about that. Should be. I don't know, Adam. What do you think? If coming down in weight isn't always the answer. When you wrestled in school, did you ever go to a lower weight once you had been at a higher weight, or
Absolutely.
And did it ever?
I dropped 2 weight classes.
Oh wow! Did it turn out to be a good move?
No, it was a horrible move.
Okay.
I ended up in the hospital with kidney damage.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
That's a
Right.
horrible. I mean, I could have done 1 weight class, and that would have been great.
Okay, but the 2, yeah,
actually, I improved. Listen, if you're dropping weight, go from heavyweight to lightweight. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the smart move.
Right, for sure.
But any other weight class, really, if you're dropping, you're going to have the strength over the people below you. Now, you got to be careful because there's a certain area where strength has less to do with anything.
Right, diminishing.
And speed, you get the down to the flyweight zone.
Right.
Speed matters more. It
Yeah.
really does.
Yeah, that's really
strength,
true.
Strength is great and all, but that speed, when you start getting into takedowns
Yeah,
and
yeah.
in the case of MMA submissions, that speed has everything to do with it.
Yeah, well, and then and I agree, especially the lower weights, and Jose Aldo was an example though of the reverse. Although it was a weight class move, 1 division higher, he went from featherweight to bantamweight. And if you notice in his fight this past Saturday against Rob Font, he looked way bigger. And even though Font was faster, Jose Aldo being so much bigger, it looked like the punches of Font didn't really bother him. I mean, he literally looked like he was like 15 pounds heavier.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
That's
So
the
when
goal.
you go
Right.
up though,
Right.
you don't, even if you look bigger,
Right,
you're not going to be as strong.
right,
So that's the point. As you go down, you're
You
going
are
to have
strong, yeah.
more speed going up in weight.
right. But
So
then,
you have the advantage. So you got to figure out the weight class that works for you and your style.
Exactly, and that's what we're going to find out with Cody Garbrandt against Kai Kara France. Mike, can you scroll up a little bit more now? Appreciate it. Okay, so yeah, Jeff Neal. I mean, the fact that every sports book still has it, could that happen? Could a guy be up on felony charges and
Oh yeah.
fight on a Saturday night? I guess, yeah.
Paid bail.
I guess that's right, huh?
Pay
It's
bail. I mean, is it in the same state?
possibly.
where does Jeff
probably,
live?
Probably not. Jeff lives in Texas.
Oh.
Yeah, so Vegas probably doesn't care about that, maybe, or
He might have been in Vegas already when that happened. I don't know.
it's hard to say. But
I
we
didn't
had,
follow too closely. I
Yeah.
just saw the headlines. And
We
I
had-
was like, man.
yeah, we had Jeff on the show a couple of years ago when he was really killing it, and we were always happy to have him back. He just never had the time apparently to come back, and unfortunately he's been losing ever since, and and now it's in big trouble. But
For all you guests out there that miss our show, just so you know, you are almost guaranteed to lose your next fight when you miss it.
it's very strange. I mean,
It is strange, but it happens.
I think we're a good luck charm in a way. I think
Yeah.
because we have good karma, we respect you. We always make the guests the stars of the segment. We always want to try to connect you with new fans and get to know your backstory and to get to really try to help your career. That is our goal. We both have tremendous respect, both of us having been lifelong martial artists but never fought professionally. Having a lot of respect for you guys that do, and it's weird. We have
I mean, really, we have a guest on, and it's like you make the chefs in the kitchen start cooking, and we start going back and forth for a half hour instead of having
Yeah,
you on, and
that's it.
and the energy just turns into boom, you lost.
That's it. It's weird. It's weird, So we're not, but nevertheless, we don't wish anything bad on.
No,
on-
we don't. We don't.
we don't wish anything bad on any
It's,
fighter.
it's just
but-
something that happens. Colin and I talk about it quite a bit because we notice it, and it's like,
Yeah,
huh.
exactly. It is a reality.
Right.
It's a real thing. Speaking of which, it's interesting. Most of you guys know in media that even with ESPN and I think even with Joe Rogan, I don't think people are getting floated money much for being on someone's show in the MMA world. And so
In the MMA world, most people, okay, first off, they're not getting floated money.
Right,
But what is happening is exactly what we're seeing. It's just most people don't promote it beforehand. And if they do, they have a long list of people, and then half of them show up.
Right.
In fact, so Ariel and
Brendan Schaub,
Luke
Thomas,
Thomas,
yeah.
they had a falling out specifically over the guests being so difficult and one of the other ones working harder to get them.
Interesting.
And it became a whole issue. And it's like, just live with it, guys.
Yeah.
This is the world of MMA. If you can't carry a conversation and,
it's
pull out
real-
a joint if you have to. Come on, chill out.
It's really true. I mean, it's interesting. And I guess the point I was making, Doc, was that it seems like if there's enough prestige and it's one of the best shows, and there's not enough spots on Rogan's show or ESPN or Ariel to have all the fighters that want to be on their show, right? And even there, sometimes people don't show up. But what's frustrating to me is other good shows like ours, people know they're supposed to be on. People know they've made a commitment, and basically something happens where they stub their toe, or their brother-in-law or their brother-in-law needs them to give him a ride to the barber shop, and then they go, oh darn it, I can't make my commitment. And it just and it pisses me off. I think I have a right to be pissed off.
Right.
It's you know what I mean, because it's like
my dog got diarrhea. I'm sorry, man.
Right. And I'm an older dude. I'm Generation X, and I'm not putting down you millennials. I think I'm in a room full of most millennials who are 41 or under. But in Generation X, it was like, dude, you don't keep your commitment, you're considered a scumbag. You don't show up and keep your commitment, you're considered someone that no one wants to deal with. But it seems like a lot of millennials have twisted that to be like, oh, just say I flaked. Who cares? You flaked, you don't show up, deal with it. And I don't like that. And I'm not trying to say every millennial likes that. I know Adam doesn't like that. And I don't think our producers like that either. And I just think, you know what? I feel like saying to people, how about do care about your commitment?
Well, yeah, Colin, you know what? Most generally in life, people that do care about their commitments,
They get somewhere.
And they have more money in their bags.
Right.
So
yeah. So it is what it is, but it just it doesn't make me
it
happy.
tends to go that way with these fighters as well.
Yeah.
When they make commitments, they keep to them. They tend to be the ones that have
More
success, more longevity with the success if they do get it still.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
exactly. And so that's just it.
It's a different game. If they're going to commit to this, they're going to commit to their fighting. Right.
Right. And now sometimes a fighter has had a great career already. Like our first guest, he say, "Well, I've already had a great career." So no offense to anyone, and I'm not trying to throw anyone personally under the bus.
There's a lot of generalities going around right now, but it's
just
a reality.
Yeah, it is a reality. It's just what I mean. I remember one time. I was doing a job, and I promised someone I would go buy some merchandise in the morning, and I had stayed up all night. I could barely see. I was so tired. Every muscle in my body hurt because I had been doing my jiu-jitsu and then working at a desk for 20 hours straight. I could have gone to sleep. And told them the next day, sorry, dudes, I had to sleep. But I said, no. I said, you know what? I'm going to stay up. I'm going to not get any sleep. I'm going to drive 30 miles to go pick up that order and pay that person because I gave my word.
Right.
And I feel like those of us that would do that are becoming fewer and fewer.
Much fewer.
Like. And it doesn't make me happy. We need to reverse that. We need to say, you give your word, you keep it.
That's quite the rant.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. I think
the rant.
I don't even remember a time when I've looked in the camera and looked at it, and
Right.
angry.
So
I can be a dramatic actor
those of
now.
you tuning in into Colin's rants and my encouraging it, make sure to hit up our social media.
Yes.
It's at MMA Power Hour. Give us likes, comments, shares, tweets, retweets. We love it all. Thank you in advance for that. We really appreciate it.
Yes. Speaking of tweets, for those of you who missed Donald Trump's mean tweets, Adam and I can start mean tweeting if you guys want us to. Just tell us what you want us to tweet, and we'll start tweeting some mean stuff. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Never mind that. Throw that out. Cut that. We don't cut anything because we are live, as Bruce Buffer would say. Do you guys know when Bruce Buffer started out doing the ring introductions in the UFC. No one knew who he was. His brother Michael Buffer was already a really rich, famous guy with a great tan and great hair and doing boxing announcing, making millions of dollars for saying, "Let's get ready to rumble 12 rounds in the welterweight champion." Anyway, and people, who is this? Bruce Buffer. He's nobody. No one cares about him. He doesn't have any money. No one knows him, blah, blah, blah. And now it's reversed. Now more people know Bruce Buffer, I'm pretty sure, than know Michael Buffer. And I'm sure Michael's fine with that. He's still killing it with his boxing and made a ton of money. The interesting thing about those two guys being brothers, funny enough, was they only found out, I think they only met each other when Bruce was like 30 and Michael was 40. This is like they only met each other like 25 years ago. And it was weird because I think one was adopted out or something like that. And, and then Bruce saw Michael doing boxing announcing. And he said, "That's weird. His name is Buffer." And then they said, "Yeah, that's your brother." His parents said, "That's your brother." And then he said, "He is. I got to meet him, And I think they've been working with each other. In fact, I think Bruce was Michael's manager for a little while, managing his affairs. And then all of a sudden, Bruce is the MMA guy, and he made good. Anyway, our next guest hopefully should be popping up in about 3 minutes. So we still have about 2-3 minutes. Amanda Nunes, Juliana Pena. Yeah, that would be a huge upset. Juliana Pena is more of the wrestler, Doc. If she can take Amanda down, I think that everyone knows that's the only.
Even if she does.
Even if she does, Amanda's a black belt, but I think Amanda likes being.
Yeah, I just rolled my eyes at it.
Yeah, right. It's a big if. It is, but and the interesting thing is,
we're not talking a gold medalist wrestler.
No, exactly. So. Yeah, and that's another thing. Is that's unfortunate. Is the women's collegiate wrestling opportunities up until now have really been.
I was going to say they're starting to get better, but
they are starting, but there used to be none. Either you were going to be high school working toward the Olympics, like a Sarah McMahon, or high school was it for you. Mm-hmm. And so that I think now that there starts to be more opportunities, we'll see some even better, super high level wrestlers like a Tatiana Suarez. Mm-hmm. We already see Carla Esparza. But yeah, if Juliana,
now Tatiana, when are we actually going to see her?
We're waiting. She's been out of action for 2 years now with injuries, and during the 2 years, she said her return will be at flyweight, and I think she actually had something scheduled, and then it fell off because of injury. One of the things I want to say, absolutely.
What was the injury again? I'm trying to remember. I think
it might have been a knee or something. I don't know. I'm only guessing here, but one thing I was going to say is as hard as these fighters train, like a lot of people that don't know will get really pissed off. We're all disappointed when a big fight falls off, but a lot of times people will see a fighter that's getting injured a lot. I mean, the bottom line is these are nagging injuries. Even if you're a healthy 25-year-old fighter, you train so hard, these injuries can flare up, and it's really legit.
Well, of course, it's legit, and there's a certain balance you have to find. The championship fighters always find this fine balance,
right.
And they know how to keep themselves from being injured,
right?
And they know the difference between pain and injury, and what's going to really make that difference, Colin. And I know this as a wrestler. When I got put in the hospital, that was a big learning experience for myself because I had to learn the difference between pain and injury.
Right.
And I think a lot of these fighters don't really ever learn.
Yeah, I mean, it's also possible
they push themselves just a little too far.
Yeah,
and I get it. I get it. There's a certain champion mindset that it takes, but you have to be careful. And part of the champion mindset is understanding the differences between pain and injury, and not what your physical threshold is,
right,
but what the physical threshold
right,
is.
Because you can push through pain, but you don't want to push through injury in your training.
You don't want to exacerbate or cause an injury
right
by pushing through the pain.
I agree.
And you have to know that difference.
I agree. And, I think, and not to give excuses to fighters, but I think there's some fighters that just structurally are less fortunate and have, and just have a nagging injury that just puts them out of their career. I know.
Well, genetics has so much to do with
the
fight world and just athletics in general. It's a huge thing. I mean,
it really is.
Just imagine where we're going to be when we all start cloning
Yeah.
people.
Oh yeah, man. You get rid of this one version of yourself, and here my better version's here. I don't know, but
One of my friends actually has a clone dog. It's pretty weird.
oh wow, that is wild.
Yep.
It looks just like their other dog.
Yes,
Nice.
exactly.
That's amazing. Would you want to have a clone of your dog? That would be wild, wouldn't it?
I talked to my girlfriend about this actually after I came home and said, "Oh, I met a cloned dog." And she's like, "Yeah, we can't do that." I'm like, "No, we want it. We're doing this."
We'd love
And she's
to
like,
do that.
"No,
She
no."
doesn't want it. No. She wouldn't want doubles of the one that you guys have, or maybe she would, or she has her reasons, I'm sure.
No, we talked about that. She does want doubles of the same dog, but there's ethics involved.
Right, that's true. You're right. That is true.
Especially with dogs.
That is true. Well, it's a dog's life, as they say, whatever the hell that means. But it's a good life, I think.
But ethics, what are those? Give me a clone dog. I want one.
Absolutely, man. A clone. I remember for a while people were calling each other a clone as an insult. I forget what that was supposed to mean, but everyone was saying a clone. Oh, I'm not a clone. You're a clone. You clone. I think it was like 12 or 15 years ago. But anyway, so yeah, Juliana Pena has one method of victory, really at getting the fight to the ground. She's not going to be able to stand and.
Is there a second guest
trade.
not showing too?
You
They said that they're having trouble logging on their phone, so I'm just resetting them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Good. Appreciate it. So, but if Juliana Pena gets on top, it will be interesting because Amanda can defend herself off of her back. I'm sure she's just gotten better and better as years go by. I remember in boxing they used to say once you win the title, you become 25% better because you just have that much determination and belief and more pride in your belief in yourself and wanting to defend your title. Like a lot of champions say, hey, someone's coming for this, trying to take this away from me, take away my livelihood, my income potential, and my glory, and they don't want that. So I think that Amanda's game is just so good. I think Juliana is slightly younger, but Amanda's not old at like 32 or 33.
Right.
I think, and so, but if Juliana gets on top, I mean, it's going to be, anything can happen. And Juliana is a good fighter, really scrambly. I forget which one of our fighters mentioned that she has a lot of movement on the ground and she's really slippery and she's got some good strength. So it's going to be interesting, but that would be a huge upset. I don't see it happening. But you never know. We'll see. What's going to be interesting is if Kayla Harrison does come over from the PFL. And if so, there's no 155 division in the UFC, and I don't think they'll be creating one for her. So she'd be at 45. She did look good in her 45, I think, one featherweight appearance in a dominating win. I think it was over in Bellator or something, although it may have been in the PFL. But obviously, everyone's saying she'll be coming for Amanda Nunes' 145-pound title with Felicia Spencer retiring. And by the way, Felicia, you were awesome. What a great career. What a great diplomat for MMA fighting and women's MMA. And we were privileged to have you on the show, I think 3 or 4 times over the last couple of years. And so, but with Felicia gone, who's there at 45? They cut Megan, so you got Norma Dumont. You got Amanda. Holly could fight at 145, but she's like 38 years old. Not that she can't fight, but she's been not looking as great as she once was, unfortunately. And so essentially, if Kayla comes over, she's gonna fight maybe one of those girls and then have a title fight, or maybe not even. Maybe come right over and have a title fight. Has that ever been done, Adam? You probably, neither of us probably have that much of an encyclopedia brain, but I wonder if anyone's come over to the UFC and their first fight in the promotion been a title fight. Did that happen with Michael Chandler? No, Chandler's first fight was against Dan Hooker. It's got to be rare.
It's happened.
Can you think
Tanya
of
Evinger.
Evinger
Tanya Evinger.
against Cyborg?
Yeah.
Was that her first UFC? I think it was.
It was.
It was. Okay. So
And then they did that with Yana also, didn't they?
Yana Kunitskaya? Did she
I
go?
think they did.
Did she go? Was her first fight against Cyborg also? May have been. It may have been. Maybe. I'm not sure.
But Tanya for sure was.
Tanya for sure. So it's rare. It is pretty rare. And then the other thing that people are talking about is both Amanda and Kayla our American Top Team products. Although I think maybe Kayla's moved on to a different location of American Top Team. A lot of people look at it and just make a blanket statement. Well, they were training partners, training every day, every month, every week, every year. Apparently, that's not the case. Apparently, from what Kayla said, is that Amanda was never really that super interested in training with her, and Amanda was aware she was a threat that could be in the UFC one day, and that they really didn't spend much time training with each other.
That
and
makes sense.
I think I believe that. I think
of course.
I think I do believe that. So, but they probably were aware of each other there. They saw each other around, but they're not buddies. They didn't train with each other every day, and and I think that'll be a great fight. Do we have our guest there?
Yeah, he'll be in 1 second.
Okay, excellent.
I was gonna say I see you flashing down there, so he's working.
Cool. Appreciate it. Appreciate that work. But so that will be interesting. Adam, if you had to predict in 2022, A, will Kayla Harrison be in the UFC? B, will she have had her title shot by the end of next year? And C, will she be the new women's UFC featherweight champion?
No, she's not gonna be in the UFC.
She's not. Oh, wowie. Okay. So
The reason is because PFL is doing a lot to keep their fighters over there. They're building up a lot, and they have a lot of money behind them, apparently.
okay.
You can really see it. They have a lot of money that they're willing to throw at a dartboard, so I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, absolutely. Do we have connection? Excellent. And there we go. Alex, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you. Really appreciate you, my friend. Let me give you a proper introduction as we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, super excited to have this next guest back in the show, coming off an amazing win in last Saturday's UFC, Aldo versus Font. As a headliner, we're talking about the man from Texas called the Great White, Alex Morono. Welcome back to the show, Alex.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me.
My pleasure, man. I really appreciate you coming on. That was a really, really good performance. You had a tough guy there. Wasn't that a short notice fight for both of you, or am I mistaken?
No, it took a little bit of time for the fight to be announced. I had been given maybe like 7 or 8 weeks notice, but I was renegotiating another contract with the UFC, and that took a little bit of time. And then for whatever reason, it took a couple of weeks for them to announce the fight. So we both had full fight camps for it.
Okay, very cool. And people expected that it would be a good fight. You were favored to win, but everyone knows Mickey Gall is a tough guy. He had improved. May I ask, what was your opinion going into the fight as far as what you thought Mickey would bring, and then what was the same or what was different about what you found by the end of the fight?
Yeah, that's a good question. I had a hunch he would try to display a little more striking, just because he's known for like shooting doubles and taking the back and going for rear naked chokes. I was really hoping we'd grapple. I didn't really know that I wanted to grapple in this fight, but I had just done so much offensive grappling in preparation for where I thought the fight would go, that I was just having so much success being offensive in training. And once the fight was over, I was like, man, I kind of wish I was able to use some of that groundwork that I'd done so much work on. But I had given myself effectively like a three-step, kind of a game plan to get the fight where I thought it would go. Step one was like, be defensive, because in his last fight against Jordan Williams, he had landed and dropped him with a couple of right hands. So I didn't want to get hit with anything wayward. So like, number one was like, be defensive. And then number two was like, find my range and use my jab. And then the third step was, so long as I was defensive and jab and range heavy, was to make him shoot. And then like when he would shoot for his doubles, that's when I was looking for some of my punching combinations, or especially like flip the switch to the offensive grappling. But I never got to step three. I was able to just maintain range and really utilize my straight punches and my jab so well. I didn't really have to get, too deep into the game plan. And, usually, I'm a little lumped up, man. I really have no damage. I did jiu-jitsu pretty hard tonight just for fun, just to sweat. Man, I got no bumps or bruises with the exception of a couple of swollen knuckles.
That's awesome. I mean, you couldn't ask for pretty much better. And your dad was there, so how perfect is it to have a great performance where your face doesn't get smashed up for your dad, right?
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, he always just wants me to not get hurt. He's never like, go out there and kill him. He's like, I hope you're okay after this fight. But historically, I usually don't take too much damage, and the damage I do take usually wear pretty well. But now he was really happy. He's a lot older. He's been in better shape in the past. And I just, I know, that's probably his last time ever traveling.
Oh, wow.
And just, we had such a great experience, man. The UFC really, really did a lot to accommodate everything. And we both just had such a fun weekend. It was awesome.
That's awesome. I love the backstory that you said that your dad would be watching the UFC like on VHS tapes or whatever. And when you were a kid, tell me about that.
So yeah, it was when it was on Spike TV.
Okay.
He would always like be in the living room. He liked to bet on the fights. He really liked watching MMA. And I was young. I was like 14 or 15, so I was just starting to pique my interest. But he would always like call me over and he would like explain who the fighters were. It was like Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell and Forrest Griffin and all those guys. And I remember just like sitting and watching the fights with them and enjoying them. When you bet on the fights, you're a little more into it.
Yes.
So he was always really into it.
Yep.
And I'll never forget the conversation once he was like, man, because it was one of Forrest Griffin's like, few headlining fights. And he was like, man, the UFC's, they're going to need more fighters. He's like, they're going to run the fighters they have thin. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And I just, we never would have expected 15 years down the road for me to be in the UFC and be 15 fights deep. And it was just, really cool. Him piquing my interest in MMA is what did get me to start training way back in the day, back in high school. And it's just led down such a fun, successful road.
Absolutely. Did he ever confide in you? Did he have tremendous faith that it would happen? Did he think it was like a long shot, but he wished you would try? Did he think for some reason that you would have a good chance to do it? Did you ever ask him like what his thinking was about, what he really expected that you could do as far as trying to get to be a UFC fighter?
You know what? I've actually never really asked him. I'll ask him that question. He was always very supportive. And I would always set such immediate goals. When I first started training, I took like some amateur kickboxing matches and some, jiu-jitsu tournaments, and that turned into amateur MMA. And then I won like an amateur belt, and then I went pro, and then eventually I got a pro championship for Legacy. And, I think we both kind of knew it was a potential possibility, but I don't think either of us really had any expectations, not good or bad expectations, just no expectations. So every time I got big opportunities in main events and televised fights, it was always just a really cool opportunity and experience. And I always trained my butt off and made the most of them. Had a lot of success.
Absolutely. Sorry to interrupt you. Did he ever make his way over to see you at Fortis or at your school, at Gracie Baja, the Woodlands?
Yeah. So, I was at Gracie Baja, the Woodlands for a very long time. We had, the old facility that my coach had opened back in 2007. And then back in 2012, he had left and I'd kind of taken over. And then around like 2014, 2015, I had become the owner. And then just last year, at the very end of 2019, beginning of 2020, right when freaking COVID hit, we'd actually moved into a much, much larger location.
Oh, wow.
And my oldest brother, he runs a company called MX2 Interests. It's a web design and SEO. He's become very successful. So he started buying commercial properties. And he and my dad, bought a big property where I opened my gym. So not only has my dad seen me teach, he actually helped me build the gym out. And I work with them with the property. It's awesome. It's such a cool experience and relationship we all have.
Absolutely. That's a great thing, man, to be able to be with your family and work together and have a similar interest. Now, when your dad was in a little bit better health years ago, did he ever want to come and try out some jiu-jitsu or try some boxing or kickboxing, or was he kind of a little bit too old even though he was...
So he was 36, I think, when I was born.
Right.
So I was the youngest of 3 kids. So no, when he was in high school, he wrestled and played football. And then right after high school, he was like an assistant football coach up in New York. And then like in the mid 80s, he had moved, down to Houston, Texas, where we're at now. And he ran his a swimming pool company for, his whole life. He just recently sold it and retired. But no, I was, he was a little bit older to be, doing like martial arts with me, but he's been to, a lot of my fights. The only fights he's not been to have been like the overseas fights and then the fights in the Apex, before they allowed to have crowds, but he's always been super supportive and kind of just, watch me do my thing. But no, we've not been able to train together. That would have been cool.
Definitely understandable. Your brother, the businessman, does he do any training?
He's come to the gym a few times, but I just don't think it's as much for him. He exercises. He actually has a big property in Tomball, a big ranch. So he's always outside, like taking care of his horses and mowing the grass. That's where he gets most of his exercise. But no, he's come to the gym and I've held pads for him and we've grappled and stuff. But no, he's more of like a workhorse than anything else.
Makes sense, because an older brother. I'm the older brother, and when you're the older brother, if your younger brother isn't a professional fighter, you probably feel that for the rest of your life you could beat up your kid brother. And I wonder if anyone like in your brother's position still has that fantasy. Well, I could probably still beat up Alex if it came down to it, or do you think he's a little bit more realistic about that?
No, about maybe 6 or 7 years ago, it was on Thanksgiving and he was like a little tipsy and we were kind of having fun and he got into like a wrestling stance and I was like, all right. So I grabbed him, I pulled him into my guard and I armbarred in like a few seconds. And then we did it again and I pulled him into my guard and I triangle choked him real quick. And he was like, all right, there's no more. I'm never going to mess around with him again. So
right. Exactly.
That's
cool.
That standard was set years ago.
Good. That makes sense, because you got to have the respect that even though you're the same blood, you've trained your butt off for thousands of hours and he hasn't. So it definitely makes for a big difference. So when you're training at Fortis and then you have your jiu-jitsu school, which is Gracie Barra is exclusively the jiu-jitsu and grappling, or are you having some classes for MMA, which include wrestling and striking there?
Oh, no, we have a huge gym. I have several fighters under me. Ricky Tercios, he just won the Ultimate Fighter. He's one of my guys. He's actually one of my coaches at the gym.
Right.
I got another guy, Jake Heffernan. He's 8-3 as a pro. My striking coach works with a bunch of MMA guys. We have a huge kickboxing program. We got a couple amateur kickboxing champions at the gym. I mean, our gym is a competitor's gym. The jiu-jitsu program's, tremendous. And we got a lot of good black belts, a lot of good competitors. But we have a lot of kickboxers and a lot of MMA guys. We're a very well-rounded, very diverse gym.
Very cool. But you still like, I think, the coaching and the camaraderie of the friends you have at Fortis. And so there's never any problem. Like, is there any expectation at Fortis that you'll be there a certain amount of days per camp or a certain amount of hours as opposed to spending it at your school? Or are they really flexible with that?
Yeah, Coach Safe understands I have a business to run and a family here in Houston, but like, when I'm in fight camp, I am up in Fortis, 6 or 7 times, weekly leading up to the fight. And like my boy Ramez Brahim, he's fighting Court McGee mid-January. I told Coach just as soon as I'm 100% ready to go, then I'll give him a schedule and I'll be making it up to Fortis to give Ramez some rounds. But no, I love Fortis. The coaching is as high level as I can hope for. The training partners are all super high level. That's definitely an aspect of my game that I need. And all of the tools and work and lessons I learned there, I bring back home to my gym. And I like coach my coaches on how Coach likes to coach. I mean, it's awesome. We all would learn and grow so much from it.
Very cool. So Ricky Tercios, that was an amazing win going a few months back where he won the Ultimate Fighter. Anything scheduled for him yet?
Yeah, he's looking to fight in a quarter 2 of next year. He had the 2 fights in the house that were wars, and then he had his finale that was a war. He had back to back, 3-round bangers, and his body just needed some time to heal. I think his mind needed some time to rest. Like, I know he's been visiting his father in South America, and he's been enjoying his time off, and he's gotten back into training in the last couple weeks. But I know he had a couple of things he needed to heal up, and he really, he needed some time off. I liked seeing him take some time off.
For sure. What weight division is he in again?
He's a bantamweight. He fights at 135.
Very cool. Speaking of bantamweight, what do you think about this card? I'm sure you're excited to watch this card on Saturday, and I'm curious to get your opinions. I think that Cody Garbrandt is finally going down to flyweight from bantamweight to face Kai Kara France, one of the city kickboxing guys and teammates of Izzy. Now, I mean, if you looked at that Jose Aldo fight against Font, first, am I wrong, or did it look like they were in 2 different weight classes?
Man, dude, Aldo's just ripped. He was a big 45er, and he is shredded for 35. And, man, I've actually been a big fan of Rob Font for a while. Yeah. His boxing is so crisp. He can mix his wrestling in with his striking just perfectly. I love everyone loves Aldo. He's an OG. He's a killer. Yep. But I thought Rob Font was going to be able to touch him up with his jab. But, man, Aldo just brought the thunder in that fight. That was really impressive. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they're actually both pretty big bantamweights. Rob Font was a little bit taller, but Aldo is just shredded.
He just looked, he looked big. It looked like Font couldn't hurt him, and that was starting to get a little bit discouraging to Font, and he fought really tough. But Aldo, man, it's just like a cat with 9 lives. Speaking of which, though, the Garbrandt fight, I mean, Garbrandt is a guy who just he's a tough guy, and he keeps on coming up short. And I know that sometimes going down a weight class or changing a weight class can be the answer there. Aldo was kind of having that same thing, and he really reinvented himself when he came down to to bantamweight. But what do you think, if you had to predict? Cody Garbrandt is actually favored over Kai Kara France, and I don't know. Do you think at flyweight can he be comfortable at flyweight? And what would your expectation be, or prediction, if you have
So
one?
yeah, I got the Tapology page pulled up on my PC right here. So right now, and I'm looking at Tapology, they actually got Garbrandt at plus 150. So he's just a slight dog.
Oh, really?
Let me look at Kai's page. But I mean, yeah. I'm sorry. No. You were right.
He's a favorite, yeah.
Kai is the plus 150.
Right. Yep.
150 dog. But yeah, that's a good fight. You know, Garbrandt's got some serious power. But man, Kai Kara France, he's fought some really good dudes at this weight class. We'll see. I'm actually really curious. Cody Garbrandt's always fun to watch. Like, I know people give him crap for it. His fight against Pedro Munoz, when you choose to plant your feet and just exchange punches, I mean, you're gunslinging. I got mad respect for that. You know, it's not the smartest thing to do by any means, but like, as a fan, that's the coolest thing you could ever hope to see. And I've always rooted for Cody Garbrandt. You know, he actually trained with Ricky when Ricky was in Sacramento for years.
Oh, wow.
So I've always rooted for the alpha male guys. And Kai Kara France is cool too, but I'll definitely be pulling for Garbrandt in this one.
Understood.
And man, he had some serious knockout power as a bantamweight. I can only imagine now as a flyweight, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see how he does. I mean, Kai Kara France, he had that crazy fight with Brandon Royval. That was cool.
Yes.
But I mean, his only loss is to Brandon Moreno, and that was by decision.
Yep.
You know, other than the Royval fight.
Right.
So
He's tough.
Kara France is solid himself.
Absolutely. May I ask, do you know if the fight with your teammate, is that still on with Jeff or no?
Oh, 110%. Yeah, he's good to go. That article that they had released was actually like quite premature, man. It was not okay that they sent that. You know, there was no hard facts on any of that.
Okay.
And like, the open carry law is 100% legal here in Texas. It's just weird that article, one, shouldn't have been posted until they got some more facts down. And two, Jeff's the man, and he's a beast, and I trained with him a lot leading up to my fight.
Yep.
And I'm actually very similar to Ponzinibbio. We're the same height. We got the same reach. We're both orthodox strikers who utilize their jab a lot. So I actually worked with Jeff a lot. And man, he was hard to deal with in the beginning of camp. Man, by the end of camp, he was putting it on, guys. I cannot wait for that fight to go down.
Yeah.
I'm very happy they got the main card spot too. You know, once Leon Edwards and Masvidal dropped off, they had bumped Jeff and Ponzinibbio up to the main card billing. So I'm happy he's getting that shine.
Absolutely. And I remember we interviewed him a couple years ago. Seemed like a very nice guy. And yeah, I'm glad. Hopefully
Jeff's super cool.
That's cool. Hopefully that junk will blow over, and it's good to know that could have been a premature and unfortunate negative article. But there's so much negative stuff in press nowadays with all this trying to cancel culture and
I know.
bullshit.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's a little bit much. Well, we only got about 5 more minutes with you, Alex, and so I definitely wanted to say I was impressed with your victory as always. You're putting a good streak together now, and I feel that like off of that win, I really got to believe that they got to start trying to give you someone with a number next to it, next to their name. Are there any people that you think could be fun fights for you, or is there anyone you like to call out, or just that you think might be good matchups for you?
Man, there's so many good fights in the welterweight division. I mean, I'd love to fight like Randy Brown would be cool. A rematch with Nico Price would be cool. I couldn't imagine a name they would give me that I would not be happy with.
Right.
So man, I'm honestly, I'm waiting to hear. After I beat Zawada and Cowboy on short notice, you know, my coach was like, "Hey, Morono, we got a fight for December." And I was like, "Cool, coach, who?" And he said Mickey Gall. And I never would have expected that. Every time I have like a hunch who it's going to be, It's always the opposite. So I'm just the UFC has just done so right by me, even renegotiating into this contract. you know, I had a number that I was going to ask for, but I let them offer, and they offered more than I was going to ask for. So, I mean,
Nice.
you know, I really like working with this company. They pay me well. They re-signed me for the 5th time, which is awesome. So I told them I'm ready to go whenever. Send me the name, send me the contract, and I'll put the ink on the paper.
Very cool. You know, our staff, we always try to bring some comedy sometimes to our shows. Everyone likes comedy. A lot of fighters have a good sense of humor. I know you do. I know that in our breakdown of your fight last week on the show, we looked at the odds and we said so Alex is favored, and we said the only question is, how does Mickey have the gall to feel he will beat Alex Morono?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you, my striking coach and I, his name is Matt Wald. He's awesome. We spend every fight week together. We've done every fight camp together. He's my striking coach. We had a lot of gall puns. Nothing like too insulting.
Right,
but
right. He got to.
Steven Seagal. I mean, just every bad pun you can think of, we probably went through. So
exactly.
I appreciate the gall comedy.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun, and it was great to see you do well as usual. And it's going to be great to see you continue on. You know who's on a streak, and I think you beat him in a fight a couple years ago, is Max Griffin. You won that fight against Max, right?
Yeah. That was a good fight. I won a decision, pretty clear cut. Man, in the second round, I kicked him in the face and then hit him with clinch knees and spinning back fists. I threw the kitchen sink at him and could not finish that man. He is like the Terminator. But yeah, ever since that fight, man, he's been on a tear.
Yep.
It's been fun watching him be successful.
Absolutely, both of you are great, and and maybe they won't make that match because I think you both are such great prospects and new blood in the division, And I tell you what, it's like, Leon Edwards is constantly wanting someone to fight him, but then he's turning down 90% of the people. And then, and then I think Hamzat offered, and then Leon didn't want that. And, it's
Yeah.
So it's really kind of interesting. I mean, I guess, people got to be smart, and, it's an interesting world, the fight world, because there is business involved, and it makes sense that people are saying that I'm going to take any of these guys, and then someone comes in that they don't want, and then they'll say, well, anyone except for that guy. But then again, Hamzat's got to earn his way into it. But man, it seems like with these guys from that area, Dagestan and Kazakhstan and stuff, and like that Fiziev fight against Brad Riddell, I was pretty confident Riddell was going to win that, although I knew it was going to be a tough fight. But I know with your background in striking, and I've never been a professional fighter, but I started to do karate when I was a little kid, and I know that if you see someone starting to move to their right, it was just so perfect of Fiziev to do that spinning back kick with his right leg, or spinning wheel kick rather, with his right leg. Was that any sort of a mistake on Riddell's part, or was that just a great technique and choice by Fiziev?
So no, man, if anything, Riddell, his back was against the cage, and Riddell was moving to his right. So he was moving to Rafael's lead side. I mean, he was circling the safe way, but just into that spinning hook kick, man. I mean, that was high level striking. I mean, what are you going to do? That was awesome. That was awesome to see.
Was the stoppage too soon at all? Because it looked like he was kind of shooting, although that may have just been instant.
No, I think Riddell actually, his hand came up. I think he was telling the ref, he's like, hey, man, I'm rocked. I'm done. I mean, I don't know, but that was not a bad stoppage at all. Right. I don't think anyone disagreed with it either.
Makes sense. So in the last couple of minutes, we have any predictions for how about the main and co-main? The main is so amazing. In fact, the co-main, everyone's got Amanda Nunes. Maybe 10 seconds is if Juliana can get on top on the ground, that's her only method of victory. Even then, probably not. What do you think?
Well, I mean, just Valentina out-grappled Pena so easily, and armbarred her. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say anything bad about Juliana Pena,
right.
But Amanda Nunes is just the best female fighter to ever do it. I mean, knocking out Ronda and just, beating up Misha and knocking out Holly and then knocking out Cyborg. I mean, she's just a different animal.
Yeah.
I think she finishes Pena in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And then, man, I'm a huge fan of Charles Oliveira, but I'm an even bigger fan of Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
They both put in their work, but I think Poirier wins this fight. I think we're going to get a new champion. And then I think all the contenders who follow are going to be just killers, and Gaethje and Islam and Dariush and Justin. I mean, and and just all those guys. That's the lightweight division is my favorite division to watch.
Absolutely, and that's one division below you. You know, we've had Beneil on the show many times. He's a great guy like you are. I think he's got something for Islam. I think a lot of people are just not seeing it, but I think he's got something for Islam. I think that could be a really interesting competitive match. What do you see that some people aren't seeing and that Beneil could do that could make this really even or maybe even victorious?
So I know Beneil, you know, they're both really good grapplers. You know, I think Islam may have a slight edge, but not enough to like finish him like he's been finishing the other guys. But I'll tell you, Beneil has a really weird striking tempo. You know, he's been getting some good finishes. The back fist knockout, that crazy fight against, I think, Dakar Close.
Right.
But man, I know he's got a very strange timing on his striking. I think that may be the kind of like the unpredictable factor of this fight is, you know, can Beneil land some effective strikes against Islam? And Islam doesn't strike like Khabib does. Islam's more of a counter striker, and I think that's going to play into Beneil's key to victory.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Beneil has a good chance, and I think it's going to be an amazing fight. And he and Gaethje are friends, so it really sucks because if Gaethje comes up and beats the winner of Poirier Oliveira, and then if Beneil wins, then it's going to be two friends fighting. Who's the friend? Which opponent you've had in UFC has been the closest to a friend to you, or has anyone been even close?
That's a good question. No friends. There's, I can't really think. I can't really think of any good examples. There's nobody I can think of. I've been down to beat up any one of my opponents.
How crappy would it be to have to end up in a UFC fight against a friend? Obviously, no one would really love that, would they?
No, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine a scenario where that would happen. Like, you know, I got my two teammates in Fortis who are in the UFC, Ramez and Jeff, and there's just no way we would ever agree to fight each other. I mean, there's just no way. Coach would never allow it. And then like, let's just say if it's for gold, it's for the belt. I mean, then honestly, that's a gentleman's agreement because, you know, no matter what, we get a champion on the team. We're both making a lot of money. You know, that's like, you know, I would fight anybody for $1 million.
Right.
I think they'd be equally as happy to do that too. So, you know, there's some far-fetched scenarios, but realistically, it'll never happen.
That's good. That's good because I know it wouldn't be fun for me. You know, it's like the people you train with and grind with, and you want them to win. You don't want to do something to stop them. So, what's the best social media place that people can support you on?
Just Alex Morono MMA, especially on like Instagram. I don't post much. I'm a pretty private person, and but I am happy to talk to people. If anyone wants to ever shoot me a message and ask me a martial arts question or a heavy metal music question or a UFC question, man, feel free. I'll be happy to talk to you.
Awesome. And if people want to train at Gracie Baja, the Woodlands, that is in the Woodlands, Texas. Where is that near? That's right near Houston, right?
Yeah, it's on the north side of Houston, which is awesome. Come train, but the gym's full. I'm not that we're not taking on new people, but we're hitting capacity right now, which is a good thing. So just be ready to wait in line.
Absolutely. Well, it would be worth the wait, I can tell anyone out there. So, Alex Morono, really appreciate you a lot, man, and it means a lot that you take the time to come on and talk to us. Your winning streak is amazing. I know it's going to continue, and can't wait to see when that next fight is signed and see you do your thing and continue up the ladder to success in the UFC welterweight division.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
My pleasure. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks. And that was the great white Alex Morono. Very tough guy, amazing, consistent winner in the UFC, which is really hard to do. People are losing their contracts in the UFC all the time. People are hoping to even go 500 in the UFC, much less having a 4-fight win streak and winning like 8 fights out of 10, I think, as Alex has done. And he
seems to have a little bit of a different mindset than a majority of fighters out there, too.
Yeah, very cerebral.
Very cerebral, very much in the zone to the extent, you know, you did ask a really valid question there about friends, and he's just bringing up the facts kind of in his own way. Listen, it's the fight game. Yeah. They're not necessarily my friends. I'm there to train with them, you know, but that doesn't mean I can't have a fight with them later. He didn't say that. Those weren't his words, but reading between the lines, that's kind of what I gathered, and just where his thought process is as a fighter. you can really see it. It shines through. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a really cool dude, and it just shows a lot of times you learn when you teach, and for him running his school and a big school, it's so awesome to hear that his brother, like a real estate guy, was able to buy this huge school along with him.
Right.
And the dad is involved, and God willing, their dad stays around for longer. It sounds like his health isn't the greatest, but hopefully he can hang in. I think Alex is like about 33 or 4, so if his dad was 36 when he was born, he's got to be about 70. My dad made it to 76. It seems like 70s start to be tough. Although my friend Gene LaBelle is 89. And so you never know.
I was going to say, my grandfather was kicking hard until he was about 85, 86, and then he started sliding a little bit, but he was still doing pretty good because he was just active. So you never know.
Yeah, it also depends on whether you get a condition or a disease or things start failing. It's so hard to know. Some people do the right thing all the time, and they're healthy. And then like the fitness expert of the 50s and 40s, Jack LaLanne, everyone was sure that he'd be the guy at 100 that was still going to be able to do 20 pull-ups and 100 sit-ups because he kept doing it. Then all of a sudden he had some heart surgery at 92 that didn't go well, and then he died. But before that, months before that, he was doing 20 pull-ups and 50 chin.
It's crazy how that happens.
Yeah, it's
there's
just
a certain age where your body just doesn't want to react the way it used to.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm starting to notice that already, and I'm not that old.
Right,
I am a smoker, so.
Yeah, one thing that I do notice is that over in Asia, there are some older people that look so amazing at like 95, 100, and I think that maybe just the really good diet for many years. I think
I remember reading something. It has something to do with both the fish on their skin and rice. Something has something to do with literally. I'm not trying to make a joke here.
I believe it, and just also I think
I could be wrong on the rice thing, but I know the fish does the benefits from the oils and the omega fats are really good for you. Mercury is causing other issues, though, so be careful out there. Don't go starting to just eat tons of fish in 2021. You don't know where how much mercury's in there. Could be nasty.
That's true. I think also in the United States, I think we're overeating protein, and I was a part of that for many years, being a bodybuilder and stuff. And
protein though is not.
You need it, but I think Americans are eating more than they need a lot.
There's a huge thing going on right now with the whole keto movement and stuff, and a lot of doctors are moving towards it. So I don't know. Like the Atkins thing happened, and people started saying that was causing issues, and then they kind of went to the vegan thing is where a lot of people went, and now it's more about the keto, which is the exact opposite,
or paleo,
or paleo.
Well, I mean, here's what I would say, because I've been into that for many years. All that I'm not denying that if you have your protein and have very little carbs and a moderate amount of fats, that's the best. I do agree with that. The thing that I'm saying is that a lot of people are having some meat with their breakfast, a huge meat or chicken or fish sandwich for lunch, a huge serving of meat for dinner. And I just think that much may not be that necessary. But I do believe that that your protein is going to be the most metabolic and keep you physically fit. I just think in the United States, I think we're having a bit too much of that protein.
I mean, it all depends on your body type, your body weight, how much fat intake you have as well. A higher fat intake actually helps depending on the body type.
True.
For me, I actually metabolize more because I eat a bunch of sugar and fat.
Right.
But I supplement it with a bunch of protein. So it just depends on the body type, the blood type, your chemicals in your body. We all interact differently.
Well, we all know.
Go speak to a dietitian. We're not dietitians.
That's true.
So we're full of shit.
Yes, thank you for that.
Get used to it.
You have to, as long as you try to cut down on the sugar on the cigarettes. When you put sugar on cigarettes, that's really a bad.
Oh man, you got me.
I found out your secret. We let that loose.
You caught me around the back, pouring sugar on my cigarettes.
That would be terrible, wouldn't it? They used to have candy cigarettes in in the 80s and
Well, that's what got me
before.
started on the sugar.
You're
on my
right,
cigarettes,
you would
yeah.
blow the thing and then you see the sugar mist come off. Remember that? Yeah, that was great, man. Anyway, I think we are ready.
Just about before we get in there, even if they're not on there or
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, so we got some
want to go ahead and throw out to head on over to our social media. It is at MMA Power Hour. Give it a look. Give it a
Yes.
check out. Also,
I used to point up
hit up
here, but
Third
there's
Wheel
nothing there.
Podcast
Yep.
Studio. It's
Yep.
in Los Angeles. Look it up on Google. Check them out. They are on social media as well.
Yes, call up.
And Lith Token.
Yes.
The supporters of our show, helping fund everything and get it going and keep it going.
Without the doubt, at Third Wheel, you could call them up here and say, "Hey, I'd like to be a third wheel on your team," and then they'll say, "Stop
Hey,
wasting
we're
my."
looking for third wheels.
Are we? We
We're,
are.
well, we're going to grow the entourage. We're going to get Onyx in here a little bit.
That's
They want to
it.
come in, hang out.
That's
so.
cool. Well, there we
yeah.
go. Well, if we get Onyx, we got to get Ruby and Sapphire as well, right?
Well, I mean, we can try for Ruby and Sapphire, but with Onyx, we get Sticky Fingers and Fredro Star. So
There we
I'm,
go.
I'm good with that.
But we don't want one of those sticky fingers people that are stealing stuff around because that.
Sticky Fingers.
Oh, sticky fingers. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Well, that's a horse of another color there. But anyway, what the hell I'm saying?
What color is this horse?
That's a good question. I think he's a
Polka dot with
no.
purple, like purple polka dots.
You know, I used to bet on horses years back, and there was a.
I still do.
They call him roan.
I have
which
a
is
gambling problem, guys.
What you do? Well, it's one of those addictions, or is it?
No, I actually keep it under control. I have a gambling problem. I win too
Control.
much.
That's the key. You win too much. I like that. I don't know. I didn't notice that was a problem, but oh man, Dr. Adam Roorda, I tell you, you're killing it. You're killing it. You're coming in so
Winning.
strong.
Winning with that tiger's blood.
Yes. How about the Lions winning the first game out of 12 games?
They won a game.
We beat the Vikings. It was amazing.
Oh wow! Yeah, well, you should be proud. They won a game.
Yeah, we are now 1-10-1. I think this is amazing. Well, at least see, we had the record for being, I think, the only team ever to go 0-16, and now the NFL has 17-game seasons. So before we got the draw, we were on an 8-game losing streak, and they were thinking we could have set the record at 0-17. Then. We got the draw against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Terry Bradshaw wasn't playing that well that day, right? For all you guys over 60. But we got the draw over the Steelers, and then people said, well, you guys could still be the first team to go 0-16-1. And we didn't.
I was
kind of
hoping that would
Yeah,
happen.
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're still getting the first round draft pick anyway, but we
Who are
did.
they playing next week? Are they playing Denver next week?
I think it might be.
Next couple weeks is Denver against them. I know that, and I'm a Broncos fan,
Yeah.
so
It's going to depend.
don't talk to me that day
No. It's going to depend how good John.
unless the Broncos win.
That's true. It's going to depend how good John Elway's arm is. That's going to be the whole question in that game. If we rewound to 1991, it would be. Anyway, I think
Oh, hey, with Bridgewater and I can't even remember his name right now. Anyways,
bridge over troubled water, man. That's what I can say on that one. That was an Elvis song. Like
We're
a bridge
trying. We're
over
trying.
troubled water.
do we have this other guest or no?
We should, Mike.
Okay.
That's it. Need a link. So I'll tell you what, man. What do you think about these missing links, these Sasquatches that people are finding? Half the shows on the air are Bigfoot hunters now, I think. You know, like
I have seen some of those.
Like, did you guys know that the Bigfoots, they like to knock? If you hear that, if you're out in the forest,
You're knocking out in the forest. Okay.
yeah, that means a Bigfoot is out there.
That's the oddest.
And then you-
where are you going with this?
I was trying to think that maybe we ought to see if we can find an actual Bigfoot and bring him in here as a guest expert on MMA. I don't know.
I know a couple people that look like Bigfoot.
Yes, there are several. I swear, in 1999, I think it was, or 98, I was sitting with some friends on a porch, and I looked over to the left, and it looked like some huge thing was carrying a king-size bed above their head. And I remember I looked and I said, you know, something just seems weird about that, because that does seem like a king-size bed. But whose arms are going to be able to get to the edges of a king-size bed and carry it over their head? And then I was kind of distracted, and then a girlfriend of mine called on the phone and distracted me even more. And then I got off the phone and I said, I got to see where that creature is, but I couldn't. It was gone. But I remember thinking to myself, what man unless it's like Shaquille O'Neal or something, you know. But
Right.
but even then, wouldn't it be very cumbersome and tough to carry a king size even mattress over your head?
I mean, if it's,
Some-
balanced right.
I guess if
could
you're like
figure that out.
7 feet tall and
I've done it with a queen
300
size.
I like it.
I don't have long enough arms for a king, but
No.
a queen size, I've done that.
It could have been you. Otherwise, it might have been you. I might have seen you then.
Right, and
Only-
maybe it was
except
before I was born.
Well, no, that was in the late '90s. You were
Oh,
born
yeah,
unless
yeah,
you're in
yeah,
your
I was
20s.
born.
But you know,
I'm not that young.
no, well,
I wish.
you're still pretty young. But anyway, as we're waiting, so Dr. Adam Roorda, we have a pick from Alex Morono of Dustin Poirier. He is a slight favorite. I'm leaning Poirier. I think you're leaning Poirier as well.
I'm not picking on this one.
Right.
I'm not.
Too close
I
for you to
can't.
call.
This
Yeah.
will. I rarely ever do this, but in this case,
It's so hard.
this one really is that close.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm just not going to go there with
Right.
this one.
So the winner, it looks like for sure gets Justin Gaethje, a man who was a guest on our show a couple years ago. A really nice guy. If
And
it's
that makes sense.
yeah, if it's Gaethje, Oliveira, most people pick Gaethje. They've never fought before. If Oliveira got on top on the ground, submission-wise, Gaethje could be in some trouble, but Gaethje's wrestling is far superior to Oliveira, so many people feel that that fight stays on the feet, and Gaethje just lights him up. If it's
Right.
Gaethje-Poirier, then that's a rematch of a really good fight from 5 years ago.
Right.
However, it was one of the last fights before Justin Gaethje became Gaethje 2.0. It was back when Gaethje didn't move his head at all. Where he was the Arturo Gatti, for those of you who watched boxing in the 90s, of MMA, and didn't care. He just wanted to jump in the fire. And Poirier's boxing technique was more crisp, and Gaethje didn't move his head, and eventually Poirier wore him down
Right.
and stopped him. And but Gaethje is now Gaethje 2.0. And I think that rematch would be really, really great. I think that would be just a sick fight. Either way,
Yeah, Gaethje 2.0, I think, against either of these guys, honestly, that one I'm going to call right now. Gaethje's taking
and
it.
you got Gaethje.
Yep.
Man, because he would love to get that one back against Poirier. He would love to get that one back.
That'll be a more exciting fight to watch. Because of that, I want Poirier to win this fight
So that you get Gaethje.
so that he gets Gaethje, because that's really, you just watch what Gaethje and Chandler did, and
Yep.
Gaethje just pulling that out. He dominated, but him coming in against Poirier is going to,
Yeah.
in this rematch, it's one that really is going to probably end up the exact same way, and I want to watch another fight like that. That was one
Right.
of the best fights ever.
It was amazing, but with a different winner, with Gaethje winning this time.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. Now,
No, and before that though, I'm talking about the Gaethje Chandler fight was one of the best fights.
yes,
to watch.
it was. That was great.
Yeah,
That was such a sick fight.
The,
really
the
exciting.
men had to pull one out after Weili and Joanna. And
Yeah,
this one really was that. About what, a year and a half later?
About a year and a half later, yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt. Yeah. Now, Beneil is set to fight Islam. I'm glad that Alex did back me up in the fact that Beneil has a good chance. They're making him about a 3-1 dog right now.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, well,
no.
you know what? They feel Islam is like maybe not Khabib 2.0, but Khabib's the second coming of Khabib. And
Beneil's also a beast.
he really is. He really, really is.
He's the most underrated fighter in the UFC.
Yeah, I think so.
Probably
I think
in
so.
all of MMA.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's interesting? We got him on the show first. It was either off a loss or off of having his first win of this streak. And since we had him on the show, he has won, I think, 7 fights in a row.
Right.
And so it's, and I know he appreciates us. I know you guys haven't seen him on lately. Management at the high level is only allowing some of these top 5 guys to be on ESPN for interviews. So you saw him do an interview with Brett Okamoto. It was a good interview. And but we still really appreciate Beneil and have always been behind him, and I think he's going to make it. I really think he can win. I think he's going to make it a
Absolutely.
hell of a fight, and it's going to be a crazy good fight. That's for sure. Now, if that happens and the other scenario plays out, then we'll have Beneil against Justin Gaethje, and I think Beneil mentioned on that fight that Gaethje's a friend of his. He helped Gaethje for
Right.
the Tony Ferguson fight. And they've trained together several times. and even though they're not on the same team, they're friends, and so that would kind of suck.
Didn't go
But-
Gaethje? Oh no, that was Gaethje donated to Giga, right? That's it. Or was it Benil? No, it wasn't Benil. It was Giga.
Gaethje and
Gaethje's he's just an all around great guy.
yeah, he really is. Yeah, Giga is a training partner of Benil, and they're training over there at Kings, and Gaethje at Elevation Fight Team. But man, that you'd almost hate that fight because they're such good friends. But at that point, it would be for the title, and it would be for some serious money, and you have to do it. I mean, just like I think Alex was saying, if someone wants to pay him $1 million for a fight, he's going to fight whoever that person is.
Right.
And who wouldn't, you got to do that. But it does end up being tough.
I
if you
mean,
have to
I
fight friends.
probably wouldn't. I have other ways to make $1 million.
Yeah, I guess. Although I think when you've trained so many years for
I'm not
fighting,
going. I'm not going to the back alley.
No, right. But for fighters, a lot of times these fighters are so good because they've devoted their whole life to fighting, and they don't have these other avenues necessarily of making that money. Not only that, but you don't want to be known as a fighter who they came to you when you're at the highest level in a title fight, and they said you got to fight your friend. It's a big payday, and you could be.
No,
champ.
I understand
And
that.
you
As
say
a
no,
fighter,
you can't say no.
If I were to have gone down the fighting route, yeah,
right.
I mean,
you would do it.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? And but definitely interesting.
But I'm not taking those whiteout hits anymore.
No more.
I decided a long time ago.
You'll just take the whiteout when you type something up and you make
I don't
an
use
error.
I don't use
No,
whiteout
that's-
for it.
When was the
'cause
last time anyone used that? About 20
the last
years
time they
ago.
used paper?
That's true. I mean, did the whiteout industry went from making like several $1 million a year for the companies that made whiteout to like zero pretty much. It's almost like, imagine how much the post office was making before email, right? You had no choice. If you didn't want to
Right.
talk to someone, you had to mail them a letter.
How much does whiteout cost now?
Whiteout's got to be, it still should be cheap, I would imagine, but it's probably gone up incrementally.
Well, it first off, it's gone up with inflation, but it's
Yeah.
also probably expensive because they stopped really making
That could be it. Mike, do you guys have any whiteout over there by any chance?
We do not.
No, I was gonna say if you did, then what that reminds me of this old game show.
It's not cheap anymore.
No.
I figured. Yeah. No, so it's like $5 for a thing of remember those bottles,
Yeah.
the big whiteout,
Yeah.
and then you have the little roll-on kind. That's like $3.
Yeah. You know what that reminds me of a game.
Whiteout pen is $4.
Yeah. There was a game show I used to watch at my grandparents' house many, many years ago. Let's Make a Deal. And they would come to people in the audience who were all dressed up like it was Halloween, and they'd come over to a guy and say, "Okay, I will give you $100 if you happen to have a woman's bra in your pocket." The guys would be like pulling their pockets out, and they'd come over to a woman and they'd say, "If you have a boxing magazine in your purse, I will give you $200." And people look at, so once in a while, then people would bring all kinds of weird shit because of that, and once in a while, like someone would have it. They'd pull it out of their purse or their pocket. The guy go, "Here you go. Here's your money." But that was some of the fun we had to have years ago when there wasn't the internet or your phone. You had to be going on to game shows and doing some silly, stupid shit. But that's part of history. Your grandparents will tell you. Anyway,
I had a buddy who, an old roommate actually. His name was Andrew. He won a car on the same show.
Oh,
so,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I remember now because then they would do that goofing around and then they'd have the real contestants on there. And then they'd say, which curtain do you pick? You pick a curtain and you win something. And then they'd say, "Okay, I'm going to take out $1,000 here."
You met Andrew? Don't you remember Andrew?
Yeah, I think I do remember
The first
Andrew.
studio was there at that house.
That's
Yeah.
right. Good
Yeah,
old
yeah.
Andrew. I do
Yeah.
remember. Yeah.
The redhead.
That's it. Yeah, he was a redheaded stepchild of.
He was a stepchild.
That's it.
I don't know.
Who knows? But sometimes it's good to be the redheaded stepchild. I just can't think of those times, unfortunately. But I know there's going to be a good time. Where are we anywhere on that third guest, Mike? Do you think?
They haven't responded to the email I resent.
Yeah, no response.
Man, oh
So
man.
you know what, Colin? We're
Yes.
gonna go ahead and do what you said.
Yeah.
We don't have to get out of here right now. You can
Maybe do what?
kick it on one more fight.
Yeah. You want to break down? Spend maybe 5-7 more minutes breaking down. It's kind of funny because the first show we had 2 guests not show up. The second show, all 3 guests showed up. And the third show, it looks like 2 guests are not going to show up.
Which
so
is so weird.
it's really odd. It doesn't usually go this way, guys.
You guys are getting 2 out of 3. It's kind of insane.
It's right. It's very weird. You know what I mean? It's
That is what it is.
It is what it is. The last
Is
guest
what
though
it
we've had before, and who knows? But anyway, Mike, if you want to throw the
Yeah,
best-
but didn't we have that 2 weeks in a row with him before we got him on a third time?
who this last guest?
Yeah. I think we did.
No, I don't think so.
At least 1 week we had him not show.
Maybe I don't remember.
Yeah.
We had a good interview with him, but let's see. There we go. Okay. So that fight is on with Jeff Neal and Santiago Ponzinibbio. Now, how many people named last name Ponzinibbio do you know, Adam?
About 5,000.
Exactly. Have you guys met anyone with the last name Ponzinibbio?
No, it's not a 0.
No.
Zero.
Have you guys ever heard of the last name Ponzinibbio? No. So, is it possible that this man has made up his last name? Just saying.
I would love that. That would be awesome.
I said it right. He just said, my real last name is Gonzalez, but I'm tired of that. Everyone I know, his last name is Gonzalez. How about Ponzinibbio? And then
Bonza. How do you come up with a name like that?
I don't know, man. This guy is a great fighter. He's a true awesome dude. I'm only saying this in fun. Santiago, in case you watch this fight, huge respect to you.
Next
And
thing you know, I'm sitting here getting a call. You better keep your man Colin in check.
keep him away from the fight that Santiago. No, all respect, Santiago. I love your fighting style. I'm sure you have a sense of humor. We're not. We don't. No, we're not dissing you, but if that's even a word anymore. But anyway, it's an unusual name, but I like it. It stands out. Jeff Neal, though.
Just got a text message.
What did you get? It's from Ponzinibbio. He said,
yeah.
"Stop talking about my."
He said,
"Get my name out of your mouth."
How do you get my name figured out?
I said,
How do you get my real name figured
I'm
out?
trying to get my name out of his mouth, his name out of my mouth. Anyway, but he's a great fighter. And Jeff Neal, that's going to be a banger. And Jeff already is going to be pretty angry from someone putting down this stuff that apparently may turn out to be bogus as far as any criminal charges. Because you are allowed to carry in Texas. Everyone knows that. You guys know that one of the good things about living in Texas is that criminals are afraid to try home invasions there because everyone's got a gun and you're allowed to use it. The only scary thing is if you're
You're
delivering.
actually allowed to in California as well.
Are they?
You're not allowed to carry anywhere here. That's one thing, unless
Okay.
you have a federal license.
All right.
In Southern California, in LA County, anyways,
Yeah.
you can carry in like Ventura County
Yeah.
very openly.
Yeah.
California has one of the higher ownership rates. Of
Right.
guns.
I believe that, but I think in Texas, if you're on someone's property, they have a right to shoot you. Now,
Stand your ground, castle law.
okay. That makes sense. This is the thing, though, it makes me worry about people that are delivering food at night over there. If you're delivering food over at night in Texas,
And get on the wrong property.
and you can't see the addresses very well, right? And you're on the wrong property. I mean, what do you do? I mean, I guess hopefully there's an understanding there that before you shoot, ask someone if they're food delivery, and if so, what address you're delivering to. Are you food delivery? Yes, I'm food delivery. I'm delivering to 1125 Main Street. Okay.
Well, it's probably more of a
He's next door.
more of a call them up real quick. Hey, no, I'm outside. Okay, perfect. Is this the right house?
Right.
Yep.
And you're probably calling from in your car, I would think.
Yeah.
Just because you don't want to get shot. Yeah. So, but anyway, but the criminals are
Most
afraid.
people with guns don't go that far.
Yeah. This better be food delivery, damn it.
Oh, you're coming up to my door. Oh, I'm gonna shoot you.
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't usually go that way.
Or how about they say the guy with the gun behind the door would say, "Show me the food bag." I don't have a food bag. It's the little thing. Boom. He shoots it out of his hand. He said, "Just just tip me on the app. That's all. Don't worry about it." Oh man, my neck's got a crick in it, and I'm hopefully gonna get it out one day.
All right, everybody, make sure to head on over to our social media. Hit it up. It's at MMA Power Hour. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And then also make sure to hit up the studio here. It's Third Wheel Podcast Studio. You can hit it up on Instagram. That's one of the primary places to find them. They have some great content getting put out. A lot of great podcasts. Probably isn't much room for you guys to squeeze in if you want to right now.
Right.
These guys are taking off from what I heard. But definitely reach out to them if you're interested and you're in the Los Angeles area. And everybody on Fight TV, head on over to the Hannibal TV on Facebook. give it a like and a follow and keep up with us. Give us comments over there. And then those of you on the Hannibal TV, make sure to hit up Fight TV. It's FITE.TV.
Yes. As our friends in Scotland would say, go ahead and hit Adam up on Twitter.
I don't know if Twatter's the right place, but
Hit someone up on Twitter.
you can give me an Instagram,
Give
though,
him
if
an-
you have one.
Send him an Instagram on Twitter.
No,
Never mind that. Anyway.
If you see me in person, I do prefer the Instagram. So
Yes, he does. Yes, take my word for it. He loves the Instagram. Insta Adam.
no, I'm joking.
No,
I'm
no.
joking.
But anyway, ladies and
Give me some
gentlemen,
nice green.
that's it. Get that screen going, man.
Green.
The green screen, baby. Listen.
Well, that too. Yeah.
That's it. That's
Got
it.
the green
We got it
behind us,
going,
so.
right? Anyway, so great fights we're looking forward to. We broke them down for you. We have our thoughts. We have our opinions. Going to be an amazing card, worth pay-per-view, paying per view for this one. UFC 269. Don't miss it. A lot of guests on our show are on it. And look for a great win from Miranda Maverick. And who else? Can you scroll down last time here, Mike? Okay, a little bit more. Yep, Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett and Miranda Maverick and Eric Anders and Alex Perez, all past guests on their show, on our show.
Jillian Robertson.
Jillian Robertson also. You can make it a 4-fight parlay or even a 5-fight parlay, collect, cash in, and then you can thank Dr. Adam Roorda.
I didn't tell you to do that.
No, he didn't tell you. Well, go ahead and do a parlay of those fights and then Lith Token, and then write an IOU, and then you'll be able to tear it up when you go to Lith Token IO, right?
Lithtoken.io.
That's it. Exactly. You won't be owing anyone, man. That's a promise from him.
No, it's not. It is not.
It'll
But
be-
I am going to tell you this. It is all about sustainability and ethics in business. If you want to get behind that, it's a great project, decentralized. And,
Yeah.
there's a lot of opportunity for the community to grow. And in the crypto space, we know what that means.
That's it. Sustainability, growth, crypto, and all that other good stuff packed into one. Dr. Adam Roorda is the one to make it happen, and we're behind it. So if you love MMA Power Hour, you'll love what he's doing. We appreciate all the guys here.
Bringing
on
capitalism to a problem that has nothing to... Anyways.
That's
yeah.
right. But this is sustainability squared. This is sustainability cubed. This is the highest
Done the
amount.
right way.
This is exactly sustainability done the right way, and you do it, and we try to do it too. So we'll be trying to sustain the show here, and it'll help if our guests show up, because then we'll be even having a greater level of sustainability. Did I put that
Well,
right?
I do have to say the largest name of the bunch came on tonight, so
Yes.
thank you, Alex Morono, for coming on. That's
Yes.
very appreciated at this point.
Absolutely.
And you guys, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you, Colin, right now because I'm done talking.
Yes,
If
are
you
you-
want to go ahead and bring us out early, we can go ahead and tap out early. You want to?
Yeah. I'll do a 2-minute goodbye here since we have 11 minutes. Okay. So thank you, Dr. Adam Roorda, for all you do. Appreciate you, Mike, and what the heck, Mike and Harris and Fred. No, what is it, Mike and Harrison and James. I was close. Mike, Harrison, and James. Appreciate you guys a lot, sincerely, and so. Want to thank all you guys for your support. We're going to continue to put on good shows, and at least hopefully you think they are. We're open to any constructive criticism. We do try to have our guests show up. Most of the time they do, but hope you enjoy our banter. Go out and spread the love in a positive way. Be that guy, be that girl. It's a cold winter. A lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are sick, have injuries. A lot of people have terminal illnesses. I have people around me. It seems like more and more that are dealing with these things, and I'm there for them, and it's tough. God bless them. So pray for each other. I think it'll help, and be good to yourself, be good to your family. Call people that you haven't called for a while, and let them know that even though you maybe have not been there verbally, your heart is with them, and that means a lot. And spread the love. Take good care of your pets. They really need to be checked up, and you don't want them to be suffering silently, which is what they'll do if you don't make sure that they get some medical care. So please do that, and give them all the love you can, and you get back unconditional love from your pets. That's about it. Thank you guys so much, and thank you, Alex Morono, for coming on. We appreciate you a lot. For the MMA Power Hour, the entire team at Third Wheel Studios, this is Colin Crandall, and for tonight, I'm tapping out.